meaning she is a businesswoman. She is successful. She is fiercely independent and free. One second, hold your thought, honey. She is fiercely independent of free. You're not listening. She is fearlessly and fully independent of all men except one. You see the beauty of the kingdom? No man can tell a godly woman what to do except one. Her Baal. If he's submitted to Yeshua. That's a big if. If he's not, then there's a whole different course of action. There's a whole different course of action, which is determined through the mind of Yeshua and through counseling to ascertain the mind of Yeshua. My husband's a loser. He's out in the world. He's in the honky-tonks. Do I have to follow him? Heck no. That's an entirely different paradigm that we're talking about. You had a comment?
Please make it clear.
You're not going to make me look bad? You take it easy on me?
Please make it clear.
Yes, baby.
Please make it clear that you're not saying she should work so he doesn't have to.
I'm not saying she should work so he doesn't have to. I'm saying a family business or an enterprise where one is working in conjunction with the other. Exactly. Not someone that she doesn't go to work so he can sit at home. I also want you to notice that there's no age limitations here. A woman of valor doesn't use her age as an excuse for staying at home and going out to the merchant ships to bring home provision. She is as much a business partner as her husband. But for the kingdom and for the children, because the tribulation is coming when no man can buy, no man can sell, except they have the mark of the beast. Who's going to be working then, ladies? Who's going to be bringing in the money when unless you take the mark of the beast, the Islamic end-time beast, you cannot buy and sell, because Saudi Arabia says no oil, no car, no oil, no heat, muerta, death. That's why all the wars are fought in the Middle East, for oil. If you're a virtuous woman, you're planning now how to survive the Great Tribulation. And it's not where to hide necessarily, it's how to provide and survive. That's what Esher Chayil, she's warring against Islam already. She's already preparing her home for the future coming of the anti-Mashiach and the end-time Islamic beast. Can I get a witness?
Amen.
And by the way, well, I don't believe that, Rabbi. I believe the Antichrist coming from Europe. And I believe the Antichrist is Catholic. Really? Well, darling, read Revelation. The Antichrist cuts off people's heads. The Catholic Church hasn't cut off anybody's heads in about 500 years. It's the end-time beast.
More than that.
It's not the middle-age beast. And Daniel said that the end-time beast is going to come from Medo-Persia, Babylon, all the Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, the same areas where all the previous beasts came from. In the history of Daniel, in the history of the book of Daniel, not a single beast came from Europe or the United States. It came from the Middle East. That's where the last beast is coming from. The restoration of the Islamic Caliphate of the Turkish Ottoman Empire. That's why you see happening in the Middle East what you see happening. Governments are falling so a conglomerate can come together to unite all these powers under the one end-time Islamic anti-Mashiach. Can I get a witness?
Amen. Amen.
Look at verse 15. Look at the end of verse 14. Somebody wake Ted up. Give him a good sense. Brother Ted. Boker Tov. She brings her food. She brings her food from far. Notice, she's not lazy. She works hard, but she works for her husband. Now, you share this anywhere, even in the church. They'll say, boy, your husband has a very controlling spirit. Something's wrong with your husband. He needs counseling. You work together. The husband works for the wife works for the husband. You're echad. You're a team. You bring in income, you bring in the food, the provision from afar, and you bring it into the local storehouse. And from the local storehouse, you pay your maaser and you pay your tithe. When are you going to stop looking for work? I'm telling you it is not scriptural. I am telling you that our forefathers did not look for work. And when Jacob did look for work, look what happened to Jacob.
Yep.
he turned into a slave.
That's right. 14 years.
And when we looked for food, and we looked for this, and we looked for that, and we didn't look to Yahuwah to provide, we wound up in Mitzrayim, and we were slaves for 430 years. Can I get a witness?
Amen.
So a woman is looking after the family storehouse. Verse 15, a woman of valor, Eshet Chayil. She doesn't fight against her husband. She's too busy fighting with her husband to provide, to oversee, to nurture the children, to be echad. She's got no time to fight with her husband. He set the agenda, and she's bought into it. She's bought into the program. She's not trying to tell him, you remember, I'm going back to school. Just remember, I'm going back to get my degree and torpedoes be down. I'm going to take music lessons. That's something I've always wanted to do.
Question.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Just remember, Bubba, I'm with you now, but in 5 years, I'm out of here.
Wow.
That's not Eshet Chayil. And Eshet Chayil says, you know, at one time, I did want to go back to school. At one time, I did have my own aspirations, but for the sake of the brotherhood and the kingdom and the army, every unit is a local, every home is a local battalion. It's a local unit. I'm a fighting woman, and I'm not going to spend my energy fighting you. You tell me what to do, and as long as you don't tell me to dance topless, and you don't send me into the honky-tonks, and you don't send me to be ungodly, I will serve and sign on to any kadosh cause you have for me. And that's why you go back to verse 10. A virtuous woman, who can find? Where do we find these women? Chris says to me all the time, Rob, I got a problem. Most of you men have the same problem. Where do we look for women like this? I have one. I praise Yahuwah for that. A 1A and a 1B is cool too. You hear me? A 1A, a 1B, a 1C. Now look at verse 15. Daniel, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So, as far as education with the ladies, are you saying that at a certain point the education should not take place, or is it at a certain point that it stops?
The education should be under the authority of her husband.
So if
her husband needs her to go to school, absolutely. But it has to be in conjunction with his calling, not her own calling.
Gotcha.
She is his helpmate. Verse 15. She rises at night and provides food to her household, meaning she's fixing breakfast when everybody else is sleeping. Cook your own food. I'm going to work. I know, darling, that's part of the problem. It's dark. She gets up, and when her husband and children are up, their breakfast is ready. Look at verse 15. She provides food not only for her husband and her children while it is night. She's the first to rise and maybe the last to go to bed. She's looking after her tribe. Her tribe is a battalion. She's just not a henpecked wife that refuses to go in with the husband. No, she's a woman of valor. Gotcha. She serves a cause and a purpose greater than her own.
Gotcha. Okay.
She's preserving the families of Israel that will one day enter the kingdom and will rule and reign over the Olam. She's providing for that tribe so they can survive the anti-Mashiach and the Great Tribulation. She's fighting for her family, not against it. But people say, well, but women good wives don't fight against it. Yes, they do. When they pursue their own career at the expense of their husbands and their children and the kingdom, they are fighting. They are not women of valor. They are women of duplicity. And whenever they need something that hubby can't get, they go to the matriarch. Matriarch, I need food stamps. Matriarch, I need a welfare check. Have you been a good boy? Have you been a good mommy? Can you produce your children so we can see if there's any spots on their